Students of South Harmon, please take a seat and get ready for today's lesson in seasonal draft dominance. But before I dive in, you all better be subscribed to the South Harmon Fantasy Football YouTube channel. And if you are not, please, ladies and gentlemen, fix that mistake. Class, today we are talking about grenades. If you ever watched the show Jersey Shore, then you know about the grenade whistle.
Grenade whistle! Grenade whistle!
Which it was used by one of the bros if a fellow bro brought home a grenade. And if you know what that means, well then, you know exactly what that means. And you can consider this episode, the whistle, and me, your bro, Mr. Kiwoom, ain't letting you take home no grenades. So I'm going to be talking about 7 ADPs that I am fading right now. Students, if you have any questions or thoughts, please leave them in the comments so they can be answered. All right, without further ado, students of South Harmon, class has begun. Hit that intro.
Final round. Fight. Finish him!
The first ADP that I am fading in today's lesson is running back from the Miami Dolphins, De'Von Achane.
Grenade whistle! Grenade whistle!
He's being selected around 22.3, coming off the board somewhere between the mid to late second round. He is the quintessential boom-bust pick in seasonal drafts. And it's undeniable. The kid is electric. And, of course, the Miami Dolphins is the perfect offense for a guy with this skill set. Last season, he posted 17.3 fantasy points per game, the fifth highest in football, and a 1.36 fantasy points per opportunity, the most in the NFL. But he is getting picked way too high. And this is exactly the reason. He is an undersized back, okay? And undersized back are typically bad bets to produce over the course of an NFL season. He's 5'9", 188 pounds. And when you look over the last 10, 11, 12 years, you find only one running back that has posted a top 10 season that weighed about 190 pounds. And that, of course, is CJ2K's Chris Johnston. He did it back all the way in 2013. No running back of that size has finished in the top 10 since. And guess what? De'Von Achane is being picked as a top 10 running back right now in seasonal drafts. Outside of Chris Johnston, the closest to hit that mark and be that size was when in 2018, Tariq Cohen and Phillip Lindsay were both top 15 backs. But we can all agree both of those guys were flash in the pan type backs. Nothing that you want to rely upon year to year. Also, De'Von Achane missed 6 games in his rookie campaign. He had a shoulder sprain, a knee sprain, toe soreness, and bruised ribs, all of which can be expected when you're at that size getting hit over and over and over again by these behemoths in the NFL. On top of all that, De'Von Achane is not the only running back in South Beach. He is joined by 2 other really quality running backs. I'm talking about veteran Raheem Mostert and incoming rookie Jalen Wright, both of which will take touches away from the second year back. And when you look at the list of top 10 running backs from 2023, the lowest amount of carries in that list was 186. Dial it back a year previous, lowest amount in the top 10 was 193. Given all that, De'Von Achane would have to see almost double the amount of carries if you want to follow that current trend. Last year, he posted a 0.59 wins over replacement, mainly because he missed those 6 games and he split some touches. But when you look at 2024, that projects to be the case once again, and that is exactly why I am avoiding Achane at his current ADP. The second ADP that I'm fading in today's lesson is wide receiver from the Houston Texans, Stefon Diggs.
Grenade whistle! Grenade whistle!
And believe me, it truly pains me to say this because I have been a fan of Stefon Diggs for many years, but Kiwoom's going to help you dominate your league, so I got to fade him. First and foremost, he's getting older.
I'm an old man. I hate everything but Matlock.
Can't ignore it. Father Time comes for us all. He's going to be 31 during the season. And on its face, that isn't the biggest of deals. I mean, look at the top 10 last year. It was sprinkled with the older receivers, but Stefon Diggs specifically comes with a red flag that I just can't shake. Over the past 2 seasons, he's faded from week 10 through the fantasy playoffs. Last year, he finished on average as wide receiver 40.8 from weeks 10 to 17. In the year before that, he finished on average as wide receiver 31.4 on a given weekly basis in 2022. Those fadings really hurt you, especially when it means most in the fantasy playoffs. He's going to be sharing the field with a number of playmakers and has the least amount of rapport with quarterback CJ Stroud. Of course, Tank Dell was a personal selection of CJ Stroud, and Nico Collins went berserk as the number 1 wide receiver in Houston with CJ Stroud. The guys that are going in this range that I would much rather roster than Stefon Diggs: DJ Moore, holla, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, Isaiah Pacheco, and my guy Malik Neighbors. The days of 1.4 wins over replacement are OVAH. They're over, and that is why I am fading Stefon Diggs at his current ADP. The third ADP that I'm fading on today's lesson is running back from the Washington Commanders, Austin Ekeler.
Grenade whistle! Grenade whistle!
He's being picked right around 98.4, somewhere in the early 9th round. Gotta be honest, I'm gonna say it like it is. I respect the hell out of the guy. He's in the fantasy industry, so I gotta give him credit for that, but my man is dust. When you look at 2022 compared to 2023, he went from 1st to 21st in fantasy points per game. He went from 15th to 31st in yards per touch. He went from 7th to 27th in evaded tackles, and he went from 4th to 40th in fantasy points per touch. The efficiency numbers have gone down dramatically as he's gotten older. Austin Ekeler is going to be sharing the field with Brian Robinson this year. Brian Robinson being one of my favorites as we head into the 2024 campaign. B-Rob had 178 carries last year and projects to have well over 200 in the 2024 season. B-Rob had 9 catches as a rookie last year, went up all the way to 36. That progression suggests that he's evolving as a pass catcher, and that will ultimately limit Ekeler's ceiling as a passing weapon in this Washington Commanders attack. When Ekeler crushed a few years ago, he was the volume king. He was the first in red zone touches, overall touches, targets. He just got the ball a ton, and that won't be the case this year. And then even when you look back to 2023, B-Rob being in the Commanders, Ekeler still being on the Chargers, B-Rob posted a better warp. So in this range, the range in which you're taking Austin Ekeler, give me Jackson Smith and Jigba, give me Tajay Spears, give me Jerome Ford, and of course, give me Brian Robinson. And that is ultimately why I am fading Austin Ekeler at his current ADP. The fourth ADP that I am fading in today's lesson is sophomore sensation quarterback from the Houston Texans, CJ Stroud.
Grenade whistle!
You got to use a pick 45 or so to get the quarterback. He's coming off the board somewhere in the mid to late 4th, but I'm not using a pick that high on a quarterback that doesn't run. CJ Stroud is not a Konami code quarterback. Last year, he rushed for 167 yards, and his career high at OSU was just 108. And speaking of Konami code quarterbacks, there are 3 that are going after him that I would much rather have in seasonal formats. Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray, and rookie Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is being selected nearly 70 picks after CJ Stroud. For CJ Stroud to have that big season to return value at this current ADP, he's probably going to have something like Dak Prescott's 2023 season. I mean, sure, he could throw for 40 touchdowns. It's definitely on the table, but even in his historic rookie year, Stroud threw for 23. So if he's going to hit that number, he's going to have to increase that total by nearly 100%. If he's going to get in that Dak range, he's going to have to nearly double his touchdown production. But I don't know if I believe that's going to happen. Plus, when we're talking about seasonal formats, Dak is also available after Stroud. So why would I want what could be Dak when I could actually just get Dak Prescott? And when you look at the warp charts over at southharmonff.com, which I can't recommend enough, you'll notice that his WARP last year was a bit lower than most would expect. CJ Stroud finished 11th in total wins over replacement. Now, total WARP factors in the games that he missed, so let's look at WARP per game. He was only 9th in WARP per game. He was behind quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, and Tua in total WARP. And in WARP per game, he was still behind Jordan Love, Kirk Cousins, and of course, Dak Prescott, all players you can get after CJ Stroud. Even if you want the pocket passer, that's your thing, you can get some pocket passer arbitrage by waiting at the position. You don't have to take CJ Stroud at 45. You can get Dak 30 picks later. You can get Jordan Love 30 picks later. You can get Caleb Williams 50 picks later. You can get Brock Purdy nearly 60 picks later. I'd rather wait on this position than push my chips all the way up to the 4th round to get a quarterback that doesn't run. And quite frankly, there are just too many receivers that I really like this year that are going in that 3 to 5 round range. Guys like Zay Flowers, Amari Cooper, T. Higgins, and George Pickens. Why have CJ Stroud when you can wait and get a quarterback with better WARP? That's exactly why I am fading CJ Stroud's current ADP. The 5th ADP that I am fading for the 2024 season is wide receiver from the Green Bay Packers, Christian Watson.
Grenade whistle! Grenade whistle!
He's being selected right around pick 101 in the early to mid 9th round. My man's had some hammy issues throughout his 2 years in the NFL. He missed 8 games due to two different hamstring ailments last season. Watson even went to a medical specialist in Wisconsin to get a read on his hamstring balance. Brother, if you have to consult a doctor to check on the balance of your hammies, I think you got yourself a bit of an issue. And he's actually still working on that balance, which means he hasn't been able to compete with a very stacked wide receiver room. The Green Bay Packers are loaded with pass catchers in this offense. Jaden Reed had 8 receiving touchdowns last year and posted a 1.41 WARP. Romeo Dubes had 8 touchdowns on his own right, and he posted a 0.94 WARP. 2 guys with nearly a win over replacement. That is tough competition. And then you factor in Dontavian Wicks, who continues to flash for the Packers, and that includes his 60-yard touchdown grab that happened in week 1 of the preseason. Another reason why this ADP is not for me is he has zero consistency if he's not scoring touchdowns. And we all know touchdowns are very hard to predict in this game of fantasy football. Christian Watson's played 23 games, 7 top 20 weekly finishes out of those 23. One time, only once, did he finish inside the top 20 where he didn't score a touchdown. That was week 18 in the 2022 season. So he didn't even help your boy or anyone else win a championship. Not great. I love Christian Watson as a player, but he's profiling to be Green Bay's wind sprinter. And that is exactly why I am fading him at his current ADP. The 6th ADP that I am fading in today's lesson is second-year wide receiver from the Los Angeles Chargers, Quentin Johnston.
Grenade whistle! Grenade whistle!
You only need to use a pick in the 150s to get him somewhere in the early 14th. It doesn't matter. He stinks. QJ smells. Week 1 of the preseason ran 17 routes, not a single target. I'm done with Quentin Johnston. You should be done with Quentin Johnston. Hell, the Chargers are done with Quentin Johnston. It's a wrap, and that is exactly why. I don't care what his ADP is. He shouldn't be drafted, and I'm fading it no matter what. So I'm fading Quentin Johnston at his current ADP or any ADP. The 7th and final ADP that I am fading in today's lesson. It's a tough one to hear, folks, but it's second-year tight end Sam Laporta.
Grenade whistle! Grenade whistle!
You got to use some high-end draft capital to select the player. Right around pick 25, early round 3, late round 2, just about. And he's just, quite frankly, he's just getting drafted way too early. I mean, most leagues and seasonal formats are not TEP. They're not tight end premium. If you have tight end premium, this might not be your part of the episode, but in most leagues that don't have TEP, fade this man. He's certainly an impressive prospect. He had a great rookie year, so why are you fading him? But as a wise man told me, a wise man that goes by the name of Koopa Troopa, tight ends don't matter. Well, unless it's Travis Kelce. All right, fine. I added that part about Travis Kelce. Tight ends don't matter, okay? And he's being selected right now ahead of guys like DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Travis Kelce himself. I mean, people! Does consistency mean nothing to you? As a rookie, Laporta caught 10 touchdowns, and touchdowns are quite frankly just too hard to rely on year to year. Matter of fact, no tight end has repeated that double-digit tight end mark since Rob Gronkowski did it from 2014 and 2015. It's been 10 years since a tight end has got double-digit touchdowns 2 years in a row. It is damn near impossible for Sam Laporta to return value given his current ADP. I mean, last year when he went off, he was tight end 2 on a points per game basis. He still didn't return value according to Warp. He posted a 1.14 wins over replacement. That's the third best amongst tight ends. What does that mean across the fantasy universe? Well, he might have been third for tight ends, but that would make him as valuable as the running back 16 last year or the wide receiver 22. Folks, friends don't let friends pay so much for tight ends, especially in seasonal formats with no tight end premium, and that is exactly why I am fading Sam Laporta's current ADP. I'm blowing the grenade whistle.
Grenade whistle! Grenade whistle!
On De'Von Achane, Stephon Diggs, Austin Ekeler, CJ Stroud, Christian Watson, Quentin Johnston, and Sam Laporta. Wait, students, the bell doesn't dismiss you. I do. Remember, I said this last week. I dismiss you. So make sure you're subscribed to the South Harmon Fantasy Football YouTube channel. Smash that like button. Make sure you leave a comment or a concern or a question. We'll make sure we get back to you. And everybody from South Harmon, students all across South Harmon. All right, you're dismissed.